From here, welcoming yourself to practice. If you want to start in a seated shape, you can take a blanket or a pillow, propping the tailbone. If you want to lay down, take any props around you to support yourself there. And then when you're finding yourself to be completely comfortable, you can close your eyes, maybe move around a little bit, and then you can allow yourself to find stillness. Whether you close your eyes or just bring your gaze down. Again, doing whatever is most comfortable for you. We want to allow the senses to draw inward. And as we draw the senses inward, we let ourselves arrive into our internal space. We arrive into our internal environment. You may start to notice the inner gaze, or you notice the breath. And then as we notice ourselves sitting within the space of the body, can we allow ourselves to soften and relax? Maybe we're softening into specific places, but also overall allowing ourselves with our entire space to relax. As we continue to arrive, we're allowing ourselves to be here. And we're going to talk about that word here and what it means. Many times within our yin poses, we feel both comfort and discomfort at the same time, simultaneously, allowing them to both be true. And to mirror that, we can feel this presence of being here. And sometimes we feel the opposite. Instead of being here, we may feel a little lost or unfamiliar. One is not better than the other. We can allow both experiences to be true. And just like we explore sensations of comfort and discomfort, we'll explore the sensations and the feelings around lost and here. So with that in mind, let's start to voice the breath. Together, we'll inhale through the nose. And then we'll open the lips to exhale. Again, like that. Deep breath in. And a deep breath out. One more time. Deep breath in through the nose. And then open the lips to exhale. As we come back to the natural breath, notice the warmth in the belly, in the chest, maybe in the nose or the cheeks of the face. Now you can keep your hands relaxed within your lap, or maybe you bring them into a prayer shape at heart center. Listening or joining me for the sound of Om as we take a deep breath in. Very gently bow your chin towards your chest. Take a moment to allow the vibrations to settle within the heart space, allowing them to reverberate off of the walls of the inner body, and allow them to seal your intentions for practice. From here, you can slowly open the eyes. Bring the hands away, welcoming yourselves into the space, into your space and this space. So from here, we're gonna let ourselves, we're gonna start in butterfly actually. But as we take butterfly laying down, you have the option to keep the spine straight or somewhat arch. And when we do this particular arch in yin, it's called Golden Gate, like Golden Gate Bridge. So option one is to come to sit on your mat, soles of the feet together, knees out wide as we make butterfly. Now you may take a pillow or a blanket to support your tailbone as you lay down vertically, or Golden Gate, have that bolster, pillow, blanket be horizontal as it lays across the base of your spine. Since I know that my pillow is a little squishy, I'll also take a blanket to put on top of it. And then I'll take another blanket for my head, and I'll show you how the shape looks. So again, Golden Gate is with the horizontal bolster and blanket. I'll have a pillow for my head, and then my arms will rest out to the sides. Of course, if the beginning of the stretch, your knees or thighs need some support from a towel or another prop that you may have, you're welcome to it. And also remember here, if Golden Gate, if that arch of the spine doesn't serve you today, just let those props support the spine vertically instead. So no right or wrong, no better or worse. It's really about exploring. You can try both and then do what's best. Okay, so take your time. Of course, you can ask a question if you have one. But then as you begin to settle, we'll allow the arms to rest near us, or maybe more into a T shape or up above the head. Closing your eyes and arriving into stillness. Cool, so I'll talk about the shoulders real quick. The shoulders don't necessarily need to touch the floor, especially if you're in the Golden Gate option. But if they're hovering in a way that still needs support, you can definitely prop them. But if they're almost touching, not completely touching, that's fine to leave them there just like that. Cool. Remember, when we come into these shapes, we're never stuck. You can adjust, stay a little longer, come out a little sooner, whenever you'd like. As we continue to arrive here, noticing sensation. You may feel sensations of stretch in a few places, maybe just one particular area. And there's no specific goal here. There's no specific stretch. Wherever your fascia is tight, wherever your fascia needs to stretch, that will be communicated to you very clearly. So we'll want to honor that. We'll allow the breath to stay present. We help ourselves here by softening into the stretch, relaxing through the jaw, relaxing through the neck, finding a softness, the belly, a softness to the muscles of the glutes. And as you continue to take your awareness to different places within the body, you can allow yourself to just soften as you find a place. It's like an intuitive dance. There's no specific order, no better or worse. Just notice where the body guides you. You're at your time here, check in with the breath. And check in with the gaze back behind the eyelids. You're more than welcome to stay in butterfly a little longer. If you're choosing to release though, before we move the upper body, we'll awaken the legs first. So we'll gently allow the feet again to touch the floor, straightening one leg at a time. Even noticing new stretches occurring by lengthening the legs. And then we can start to awaken the upper body, arms traveling back towards us. And depending on how the props are underneath you, it may feel comfortable to just roll to your left or roll to the right. Maybe you even rest on your side body, or you just move those props from underneath you and you lay right back down. But every time we release from a stretch, the fascia itself, the muscles within our body may want a little movement. So it could feel good to come and windshield wiper the knees to side. It could feel good to roll onto your back again and hug the knees into the chest. Maybe it feels better for you to come up to sit and then you forward fold. It could feel good to reach the arms up high and stretch. So, or maybe you don't do any of these. You find a few of your own intuitive movements. But we're all going to come to that place to rebound. Where do you want to take that pause, laying down, sitting up? Again, we'll close the eyes and find stillness. This pause in rebound allows the fascia to contract back. This pause of rebound allows us to find our meditative experience, taking a moment to observe and reflect. In case you're new to this or even haven't quite figured out what it's all about, we've all maybe heard the phrase once or a few times. Maybe you know this phrase: stop and smell the roses. And that's kind of like what we're doing here in Rebound. We're stopping to smell the flowers. We're stopping to smell the roses. What can we observe? Can you feel awareness in the body? Can you feel breath? Do you notice something? Can we take that pause to sit in the here of yourself. And if this experience wants you to stay here and rebound a little longer, you're more than welcome to stay. Or very gently, we'll come back to a seated shape. And if that takes you into a few movements or whatever feels natural to you, you're welcome to it. And then our next stretch here, we're going to do 2 stretches. So rather than stretch, rebound, we're going to do stretch, stretch, and then rebound. And most likely you're going to use both sides of your mat, both sides of the floor, whatever you're practicing on. So we're going to start in straight leg pigeon, and I'll come to different angles so that you can see it, but just for the fluidity of it, I'll start over here. We're going to allow our left leg to come out to the side. So our left leg straightens, and then the right knee is going to bend in. I'm not necessarily mirroring, so that may look like your right leg, my right leg to you, but we'll have our left leg open out, right knee behind. Now, it may feel good and usually necessary to take a pillow or a blanket and to support that left hip so that you're not slouching in the hip, it's supported. You're going to find your pillows, your blankets, whatever you want to use to support the belly as you fold. Okay, but remember, we're coming into a double stretch. So after straight leg pigeon, we're going to take our props with us. We're going to find deer. It's going to feel so cool for your body. That straight leg is going to bend behind you. That back knee now comes in front of you with the shin, and you'll forward fold again. Okay, so you see we're going to start on one side, and then we're just going to rotate to the other. I'll talk more about deer later on, but for right now, let's just talk about straight leg pigeon. To see it again, left leg comes out to the side, right knee bends behind you. So now I'll mirror. You want to take a pillow, a blanket, something to prop that left hip. Find your props to support your belly, your chest, your head. Staying at the palms or maybe folding. This left leg may not stay completely straight. It may have a little bend in the knee. That's fine. You can always prop it if you want. Back knee can be really close to you or farther away from you. Try both and then decide what works best for you. Of course, if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to ask. And in our straight leg pigeon, the hands could feel good resting near you or near your props, or sometimes you can walk your hands somewhere behind you, as if we're like in child's pose and our hands wrap around towards our feet, with the arms resting towards the back body. Some people like that. Bringing your forehead down, turning to one cheek, turning to the other cheek. Just do what's best for you. As we continue to arrive, seeing what this experience is like for you, possibly stretching through the IT band, maybe more into the hamstring, maybe more into the calf. Sometimes just the arch of that front foot. But your back thigh may be stretching, your back hip, your glutes, your shoulders. Because the fascia is connected in one piece, interwoven like a net. There's a plethora of options for the body to stretch into. So we can honor whatever experience is being expressed. And through this, as we practice letting go of unnecessary tension and practice letting go of unnecessary control, we find ourselves softening and releasing. Feeling both comfort and discomfort. Continue to breathe into your sensation. As we soften towards the props beneath us, as we soften towards the ground beneath us. As you find yourself in a meditation or a meditative state, maybe even just a relaxing state, soften into that as well. Let it feel as if it was also a blanket underneath you. From here, from straight leg pigeon, we're going to start to awaken the arms. As the palms push down, you'll take your time. You're going to begin to lift the head and the chest. So we may even sit in straight leg pigeon just for a moment. But then again, without thinking too much, take your props to the opposite side. That back knee needs to lift. You'll scooch on your hips as that shin comes in front of you. Your front leg now bends in behind you. So we're creating more of a 90-90 or a deer shape so that we fold over the shin. Because of that, you may need a blanket to prop, or a pillow to prop your tailbone, to prop your hips so that you're not lopsided in one. And then again, does it feel good to hold your props as you fold? Does it feel good to have a little more space between them? You'll walk your forearms down. Or maybe you come a little lower. Or maybe you stay a little higher. Again, that back knee can be farther away from you or closer towards you. Facing any direction in the room. No right or wrong place. Your front shin could be closer towards your body or farther away. They will give different responses, so you can explore and then decide what works for you. Maybe certain areas in our body are rebounding from straight leg pigeon as we welcome ourselves into a whole new experience with deer. If you haven't softened into the pose, begin to do so. Relaxing from the scalp to the temples of the forehead. Feeling the jaw reclaim some space as you relax through the muscle of the tongue. Softening through the sides of the neck, let the throat open. As you soften down into the shoulder blades, letting the chest relax beneath you. Letting your diaphragm also relax beneath you as we breathe in between the spaces of the ribs. Letting the belly continue to expand and expand and drop and expand again. So much so that we notice the space of the belly button. That space can also relax. And if you're clenching the muscles of the glutes, let's allow them to release. So we soften down through the thighs, breathing into the skin, back behind the knees. Opening through the muscles of the calves and down into the arches of the feet. We can feel this release, the letting go of the burdens from the heels of the feet, balls of the feet. You may find some space between the toes. And then as you check back in, the crown of the head, the scalp, the muscles of the face, are those areas of the body still soft or did they tighten? If they did, let's again soften through them. Of course, being patient. No rush, but whenever you're ready, we will slowly and mindfully allow ourselves to begin to release from this stretch. And releasing does not mean it's over. We're letting the fascia contract back to all of the muscles and joints and organs as we walk ourselves up. Again, facing any direction in the room, your hands can come behind you. It may feel good to windshield wiper the knees. It may feel good to immediately roll onto your back. Maybe you want to hug the knees or wrap around the thighs. And it's just not for the legs. Maybe the arms want to stretch. Maybe the body wants to twist. Of course, take as many movements as you'd like. But then you'll need to find that pause in rebound, whether you're on your back, on your belly, in child's pose. Maybe you're sitting. Whatever you decide to do, you'll close your eyes, come to stillness, to fully absorb that experience. Stop to smell the roses here. You can feel subtle sensations. You can feel an awareness or this profound presence. You may feel a freshness or a newness to the breath. So just take a moment to pause and a moment to observe. If you'd like to stay and rebound a little longer, you're more than welcome to stay. If you're ready for the next side and sequence of straight leg pigeon into deer, we can slowly bring ourselves back to sit. No right or wrong. Sometimes even after rebound, your body may want to take a little movement. That's fine. The more natural, the better. Okay, and then let's prepare. So again, for a straight leg pigeon, allowing the right knee or the right leg to straighten out so that the left knee bends behind us, facing anywhere within your room. And really just do whatever leg you didn't do yet. Okay, so there's no strict rules. Whatever side you didn't do, now we're at the opposite side. But again, just being mindful to have that pillow or blanket underneath the hip, possibly propping that straight knee, the ankle, maybe the bent knee behind you, in case that's helpful. And then having as many pillows, blankets as you'd like, staying at your palms, and when you're ready for a little more, you can lower to the forearms, or maybe completely soften onto your props themselves. And sometimes maybe I'm going to change the wording of my sentence here, but when we come into these shapes, you're not sure, do I need to prop the knee? Do I need to prop the ankle, right? Because there's no real rule book. The rule book is if you sense it for even a split second, that's the intuitive body saying, yes, prop it there, or no, we don't need to there, or let's put our hands here instead of there, etc., etc. So as we come into stillness, it's not simply just for the fascial stretch, it's also to listen, to observe, giving a voice to the body itself, not just expressing the voice in the mind. Of course, as you breathe into these sensations, you may just continue to hover here. And when you're ready, you can fully arrive as you soften. Again, as you practice letting go of unnecessary tension, letting go of unnecessary control. Honoring wherever the stretch is. Or maybe honor wherever the stretch travels to. It may not always stay in the same place. Time to time, check in with the breath. Breath serves as a mentor here for us, guide. Within your space, you can breathe as deeply or as quietly as you'd like. Just making sure the breath is still there. Here, you're honestly welcome to stay in straight leg pigeon if you really want to stay here. But you do have the option to transition into deer when you're ready. The process is slow and patient. Right? Take your time. As you begin to walk yourselves up and out of straight leg pigeon. Even taking a moment to pause while there. And then, of course, gathering props to the opposite side, unbending the back knee. As that knee now rebends, the shin comes in front of you, bending into that back leg. Right? So one hip externally rotates, the other hip internally rotates. Again, finding a pillow or blanket. Maybe for a straight leg pigeon you didn't need it, but for deer you may need to prop the tailbone. And then as you fold, right, over deer, you may be holding the props underneath the armpits. You may be staying at the palms and hinging slightly. Or maybe you walk yourself down to the forearms or down a little lower. In deer, sometimes you fold over the shin entirely, maybe a little more to the foot or a little more to the knee, depending on how your spine rotates. So that's fine. Sitting within this deer shape or that 90-90 shape. And at times, and especially in these forward fold poses, the arms do help us stay supported. But we don't need to clench the shoulders or clench the fingers, create little fists. Let's find softening, an opening, and a release to the hands and arms as well. Now that we've spent some time in a few yin shapes, arriving into our internal space, allowing it to become a little more familiar, I'll share a poem. I'll talk about the artist later, but this is where I got the idea of talking about being lost and being here. So the poem says, "Stand still. The trees ahead and bushes beside you are not lost. Wherever you are is called here. And you must treat it as a powerful stranger. Must ask permission to know it and be known. The forest breathes. Listen. It answers, I have made this place around you. If you leave it, you may come back again, saying here. No two trees are the same to raven. No two branches are the same to wren. If what a tree or a bush does is lost on you, you are surely lost. Stand still. The forest knows where you are. You must let it find you. In the same way the poet is asking for the forest to find you. In our yin practice, we can allow the internal body to find you. The breath to find you, the inner gaze behind the eyes to find you. You're welcome to stay here a little longer. But when you're ready to release from deer, we'll gently walk the palms closer to us, lifting through the arms so that the head and chest can rise. It may feel good to sweep the arms behind us with our feet coming to the floor as we windshield wiper the knees from side to side. Again, maybe the legs cross and you stretch the arms in some way. It could also feel good to just roll right back down. Knees in the chest, maybe even the feet extend up towards the ceiling as you lengthen the legs and roll into the ankles, flex and point into the toes. And then, of course, taking that pause to rebound. Whether you stay on your back, your belly, your side body. Maybe you're sitting, maybe you're facing a new direction within the room. After the poses and the engagement that the fascia gets, it's like breath of fresh air for each of the joints, each layer to the muscle, the surface of the bone. And then we get to pause and sit within our space, being here a little longer. And just observing and reflecting. Notice subtle sensation as the fascia continues to contract back. Softening even in rebound. And then from here, you're welcome to stay in rebound for as long as you'd like. Or you can gently walk yourself back to a seated shape. And I'll start talking about the next stretch. So from here, we'll make our way onto our belly so that we can come into open wing with the arm out into that T shape. Now, I'll bring a blanket underneath my head, but I'm also going to show an example with a pillow. So as we walk ourselves onto the belly, once we're on the belly, the left arm comes out to a T. You're going to bring that blanket underneath the head, right? Left arm out to T. So I'm just going to show you with my arm out to T, what happens is we roll into the shoulder. So my left arm is behind me. As we roll into the shoulder, make sure your head is propped comfortably, rotating on the hip. You can bring your knees into the chest. If that top leg, if it's hard for the top leg to relax, or you just need more support and comfort, bring a pillow in between the knees. Different sensations, more stretching, legs straight. Drop the top leg behind you. Maybe you can bring that leg in front of you instead. Whatever you want to do. But really, just start in one variation. You can work your way up. The opposite hand can relax, or maybe it comes up and around the low back to take a half bind. Whatever you want to do. Just allow yourself to take your time. Left arm out to T, you'll roll into the left shoulder so that your right hip is on top. You'll most likely sit or rest on your left cheek. Any variations with the hands, any variations with the arms. Usually that left palm stays down to the floor, but depending on the rotation of your shoulder and your elbow, you may like it with the palm flipped up towards the ceiling. So you can always try both and do what's best for you. And then as we close our eyes and welcome ourselves to stillness, we'll allow ourselves to soften. Allowing yourselves to find comfort and discomfort. As you arrive more deeply into the breath, your breath can help guide you as you breathe into these different stretches. Breathing to them, through them, and around them. Eventually, your breath will circulate into the entire body. Just like the poem, instead of standing still, we're maybe sitting still or laying still. Just like the trees and bushes beside you are not lost, neither are the parts of our body. They are not lost. Wherever you are is called here. Whether you're in the forest or exploring the inner depths of the body, you must treat it as a powerful stranger. You must ask permission to know it, but also to be known. The forest breathes, so does our body. And as we listen, we'll hear an answer. Maybe it says the same answer as the poem. I have made this place around you. If you leave it, you may come back again. Saying here. No two trees are the same to raven. No two branches are the same to wren. If what a tree or a bush does is lost on you, you are surely lost. Stand still. Sit still, lay still. The forest knows, the body knows where you are. You must let it find you. I'm going to keep us in the stretch just a few moments longer. Of course, if your body is asking you to release, you're welcome to go slowly. Here, I'll welcome us to all release from open wing. Now, in doing so, we'll want to guide the right arm back in front of the chest. One leg will come back on top of the other. And then very gently and mindfully, we'll roll onto the belly and out of the left shoulder. You can place your arms wherever you'd like, near you, farther away from you. If it feels good to bend into the knees and kick the feet up, you're welcome to windshield wiper the knees from side to side. Moving through the hips a little bit. Once the legs relax, if your palms come near the chest as you lift into low cobra, maybe you lift into more of a seal shape or an up dog shape. It could feel good to find that extension. And then maybe the hips draw all the way back to child's pose, resting here. Or maybe you're doing something else. But you're welcome to pause there in child's pose if that feels good to you, or pause and rebound wherever you'd like. Soften the body, even in rebound. Taking that moment to observe. You can also use rebound as a time to come back to focus if you ever felt a little distracted for whatever reason. Observing the difference between comfort and discomfort. Observing the difference between lost and here. Or maybe even observing the similarities. You're welcome to stay here and rebound for as long as you'd like. But when it interests you, we'll allow ourselves to come back to the belly. And then from the belly, we'll bring the right arm out to T. Still maybe using a pillow or a blanket to support the head. Once you're on your belly, right arm comes out to T, you'll roll into the shoulder. So just to see it from a different view, it would look like this from the opposite way. But again, same idea. Once you roll into the shoulder, you'll allow your knees to come up into the chest. You'll let your legs go long or take one leg back. By rolling into the right shoulder, now the left hip is on top. Maybe you're already resting on your right cheek. Left arm can rest in front of you, or maybe it comes up and around the low back as you take a half bind. And you may even find your own variation for your legs. As long as it supports you within the stretch and supports you within the stillness, great. Maybe you're finding yourself softening into the body with a little more ease, with a little more familiarity. Maybe listening to the body a little more intuitively or a little more knowingly. Again, you can check in with the placement of that palm flipped up or flipped down, whatever is best for your shoulder and elbow. And as you feel sensations a little more vividly, or maybe a little more quietly, you can intuitively feel how the fascia connects from the crown of the head through the neck and shoulders, wrapping around through the belly, into the hips, into the inner and outer thighs, over the bumps of the knees, connecting down through the ankles and feet. Every stretch, the entire fascial system is functioning, is stretching, is being engaged. But depending on the day, depending on the time of day, you may feel different things at different times. In with the breath. As you check in with the gaze, the eyes are welcome to stare at something specific that they can see with the eyelids. Or maybe the eyes are staring far out into that distant space as if they were daydreaming or glossy-eyed. us here for a few more moments, but of course, you're welcome to come out and release. We'll meet you in rebound. Arm is still an open wing. Let's guide the left palm in front of the chest. One leg will come back on top of the other. And then we'll gently roll to the belly. As you roll out of the right shoulder, take your time. Arms can snuggle underneath you or rest wide along the floor or up above the head. It could feel good to bend into the knees and windshield wiper the feet from side to side. Again, once the legs relax, the chest can lift any amount. Or maybe you find yourself in a tabletop, shaking the hips side to side and moving through cat-cow. Of course, once the spine has a little movement, you can always find child's pose. It can even feel good to pull yourself forward out of child's pose into that maybe more of a relaxed up dog and then right back to child's pose. But of course, you'll pause wherever you'd like. Feeling the awareness or a new presence to the body, a new presence to the breath, or maybe even a new presence to the arm or to the places that you were stretching. We won't rebound too long here because we're going to start prepping ourselves for Shavasana. So very gently, you'll walk yourself up out of rebound. Of course, taking any last final stretches or movements. We're not going to lie down fully just yet, but let's prep ourselves. So if you do have an oil or cream, allow yourself to grab that. If you know in Shavasana that you want a pillow for the head, you'll find your pillow. If you know that you're going to take a prop to support your knees, find that. If you know that you want a blanket over your body, you'll find that. But we'll still be here seated. Okay, just find whatever you want to use. And then regardless, if you are going to use a cream or oil, you'll open that up and you'll allow yourselves to spray a little bit or take a few drops depending on what you're using. And if you don't have any oil or cream, I still invite you to take your hands and rub them together just so that we can all make a little heat or a little friction with the palms. And essentially, we're going to give ourselves a Shavasana assist. So maybe you take your hands now and start to rub into the back of the neck. And this also allows us to find the fascia, right? As your hands and fingers start to roll or move in a circular motion. You can massage into the base of the skull on one side and then the other side. It may feel good to rub along your earlobes, stretching across the ears themselves. It may even feel good to take your index fingers and massage at the temples of the forehead. You can close your eyes here as well. But really, this Shavasana assist, you can do whatever you want. Is it rubbing along the jaw? Is it rubbing through the shoulders? Maybe you make a little more heat or you take a little more oil or cream, and you massage along your spine a little bit or along your middle or lower back. I have a sweatshirt on, but if you have, regardless, really, you can rub along the chest, the shoulders, really wherever feels good, down the hips, the legs, the knees, any place you want a Shavasana assist for yourself. And then when you're ready, we can put that to the side, and we can allow ourselves to come completely comfortable, settling down onto the floor. Now, if laying on your back, if you don't like that, just take Shavasana on your belly, take Shavasana on your side body, whatever will feel most comfortable for you. And yeah, even if there's a scent to that cream or oil, or maybe even a scent to your palms, maybe you cooked something earlier, you can always just take a deep breath from the palms themselves. But of course, when you're ready, allowing the arms and hands to relax, allowing the legs and feet to soften, we'll welcome ourselves into the here of Shavasana. Gently begin to deepen the breath, noticing the presence of your inhale, the release of the exhales. As we start to arrive back into the space of our bodies, arriving back into the space of your room, and into the room that we energetically share. course, within your own time, you'll start to awaken through the hands and feet. It may feel good to lift the arms up and above the head to fully stretch. The knees can bend as the feet touch the ground. And you may want to hug around the shins or hug around the backs of the thighs. Depending on what's good for you, maybe rocking on the spine gently as well. And then whenever you're ready, you'll intuitively roll either to the left or to the right. You can end your practice laying here, or maybe you gently guide yourself up to a seated shape. However you want to end your practice, as long as you're comfortable. And if you are moving, you can close your eyes once you've found stillness. Reflecting on your practice, maybe again comparing comfort and discomfort, the same ideas about sensations, thinking about lost and here. We'll also notice the natural lift of the spine. We'll notice the freedoms to the breath, noticing space or clarity in the mind. Your hands can stay relaxed where they are, or maybe you guide them into a prayer shape at heart center. Listening or joining me for the sound of Om as we take a deep breath in. Very gently bowing your chin towards your chest. Thank you for practicing with me this evening, being elevated through yoga. Namaste.